We're back at it again with another Battlefront update. Another week and another weekly news update covering all of the latest news surrounding EA Battlefront. This week we've got yet another jam-packed video full of news that ranges from both good and not so good. But thankfully we've got more good news this time around. Today we'll be taking a look at EA's response on if Jetpack Cargo could ever come back as a permanent event mode, DICE getting pretty open regarding their developed but yet unreleased loadout system and how you can actually unlock it today, and even Battlefront 1 and 2 now officially moving on to the Steam platform and what that means for the PC community. As always, we'll be covering all of this and more in today's video. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder, as if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Starting things off, we've got to address the current status of what DICE's support for the game has been, as this will follow towards our main stories afterwards. As we all know by now, the current future of Battlefront 2 is far from what we've all anticipated or at least hoped for it to be. And that's mainly due to EA and DICE shutting down the live service for the game, which has been the lifeblood for it in terms of content updates, which were an exclusive part of the live service. That said, DICE still promised us continued game support with events, patches, and more. And thus far, since EA ended the live service for Battlefront 2 last month, we've already received 2 patches from DICE for the game. The first being a full-out patch that required a client download, while the second patch was much more smaller and done through the backend, resulting in players not needing to download anything. So DICE have delivered thus far in terms of patches, even if they were for the most part disappointing, but hey, still something. As for events, DICE have decided to give us a list of events that we can expect to see every week. But that still wasn't enough for many people, as a lot of us want to see the more unique events like Boots on the Ground, Heroes Unleashed, or even Battlefront 2's most unique event ever, Jetpack Cargo. This was such a special and rare event that it not only added a whole new mode into the game during its event, but only appeared twice within the game's history, all in 2018. Suffice to say, the Jetpack Cargo event was so well received that it even became a personal favorite of plenty of people within the community. And now, with us knowing that future content updates are rather slim to none, then it got folks asking DICE if they're ever gonna be bringing back this event into Battlefront 2. Mainly on account of DICE themselves saying that they're gonna be focusing more on events now than actual content updates. But of course this time people are asking for the Jetpack Cargo event to not only come back, but as well make it permanent too. Kind of like Ewok Hunt, which at first started out as an event and then later became a permanent game mode. Well, EA community specialist Kevin Johnson ended up responding to the many questions on a potential Jetpack Cargo comeback, and here's what he had to say about it. Jetpack Cargo is a bit of a weird subject, to be honest. This isn't a simple case of pressing a switch and suddenly the mode appears. Jetpack Cargo was built as a fully fleshed out mode. As such, it would need a client update to trigger that and have the logic of the mode placed into the game, and also place that mode on the main menu too. It isn't a server-side thing that we can do at a whim's notice, hence why its re-recurrence is, well, pretty rare. So honestly, Kevin didn't really give us a straight no or yes answer here. Mainly told us that enabling Jetpack Cargo couldn't be done server-side and instead required a client update. So the door is still technically open regarding Jetpack Cargo one day coming back, but at the same time, based on how vague his response is, then I personally wouldn't really count on it. Which is strange when you think about it, as it is a finished mode that was originally made to be a one-time special in-game event. All they need to do is enable it via a client update and the fan-favorite event mode would have been back for good without them needing to do any major work. That said, Ben Walk on the other hand was a lot less vague regarding answering questions for what potential content we could get or not in the future. The first is a question regarding new Clone Trooper skins, and whether we'll be seeing any more get added in an upcoming patch or not. As expected, his simple no response is enough to get the idea across, as something like that would require a content update due to it featuring new content. Another question Ben got was in regards to us maybe getting new heroes but as new skins for already existing heroes in the game. So think of a Jango Fett hero, but rather than being a standalone hero, he would instead be a separate appearance for Boba Fett. And while Ben's response here is less straightforward than before, it still gives us a pretty good idea that nope, it certainly won't be happening. What also of course didn't happen is the much anticipated custom loadout system that got leaked just before the Scarif game update. This was a cool feature that allowed players to make custom loadouts for star cards and weapons for each trooper, hero, and starfighter in the game. However, as we all know, DICE never included it in the Scarif game update, and Ben revealed exactly why on Twitter by saying, "We were this close to getting it finished in time." Meaning that yes, DICE wanted to include it in the Scarif update but just ran out of time. Also, no word either if they're actually gonna add it in a future patch or not. But hey, enough of the bad news already and let's move on to the good news. Because what if I were to tell you that you could actually unlock the custom loadout system in your copy of the game today? Yeah, believe it or not, DICE were so close to finishing the loadout system that they actually did put it in the game, but locked it away. Fortunately, data miners have found a way to unlock the secret feature, all by just copy and pasting one line of code in your profile options _ profile file located within your documents folder. And by doing that one simple step, you can enable star card loadouts on PC without mods. Not to mention, it's also compatible with online multiplayer too, which is pretty sweet when you think about it. Now granted, the kicker here is that it's only available on PC due to the fact that we can't edit files on consoles. Even though the loadout system is also of course in there as well, but just locked. Now I tried out this trick myself and can confirm that it definitely works, and is a crazy shame that DICE never ended up implementing it. Just having the option to switch between different loadouts for whatever mode I'm in or what I need in a specific situation is really handy. However, that said, in its current mode, this is a tad bit buggy, as I found my loadouts only saved the star cards and weapon attachments, but not the actual weapons themselves. Like I said, weird little bug, but something I'm sure DICE would have had no problem to fix. In other good news, EA a few days ago announced that both Battlefront 1 and 2 are now available on the Steam platform, a move that actually many wished for them to have done ages ago. This is especially good for the PC player base, who now have a good chance to get a bunch of new players on board like the PS4 version did recently with that PS Plus offering. And that's mainly due to a lot of folks out there who previously decided against buying Battlefront 2 on Origin, due to them wanting to have all of their games on only one platform. That said, with Battlefront 2 now being on Steam, it also brings up the possibility of it potentially even having a free game weekend, as many other games on Steam do get this from time to time, thus increasing exposure to even more new players too. Another cool thing that I think would be great is if DICE were also able to enable the Steam Workshop for Battlefront 2, just so we can enable mods in there rather than have to go through the much more longer and tedious process that we have now. Although I'm not holding my breath for that to happen anytime soon, just saying that they do have the option to do so if they do so wish. Last and final news is EA Motive, one of the 3 studios who previously worked on Battlefront 2, recently had their latest flight simulator game revealed, Star Wars Squadrons. Being VR supported and coming to PC, Xbox One, and PS4 this fall, specific details for it as of right now are fairly sparse. And that's partly on account that the main official game reveal will be happening on Monday, but considering Motive worked primarily on the single-player campaign in Battlefront 2 and have a good understanding of the engine, then I personally wouldn't be surprised if Squadrons was built in the Frostbite engine and could even contain Battlefront 2 assets in it as well. Because from what we've heard thus far, the development time for this game wasn't very long. so the chances of Battlefront 2 assets being in there are rather high. Not to say that's a bad thing in any way, but at least this could allow Battlefront 2 players to be more familiar with Squadrons. Having said that, even though Squadrons is rumored to have a small single-player campaign, it will be largely multiplayer focused. And that's excellent news for all the Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault fans who've been itching for new content since 2017. So if the Starfighter Assault game mode in Battlefront 2 wasn't already dead enough, it certainly will be when Squadrons comes out later this fall. Until then, that will do it for this Battlefront update. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but also keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.